Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And I wanted to get right into it today. I wanted to put together a quick and easy, visible, step-by-step guide that I put together that anybody at a third grade level could be able to understand to just get lean. It's something that I've been doing the past 5 to 6 months, still on my journey on, but as you can see, I just wanted to show you guys what exactly I did, the rules I followed to get from this picture you see on the left to the picture that you see on the right. And the overall process is easy. It is a very simple guide to get lean. People overthink it a lot, and that's why I wanted to put this out there. Again, you're not going to need any supplements for this. You're not going to need any crazy crash diets. You're not going to need a coach. Nobody's asking you for money for this. This is just something you can do for yourself, technically for free, that if you want to get lean, should be a really easy guide for you to follow, something you can come back to. And in my opinion, if you follow what you see in this guide coming up, and we address the problems at hand, the 3 things you need to do step by step to get lean, you're going to see improvement, bare minimum, in some way, shape, or form. So these are just laying a good foundation for what you need to do. I call it easy mode because they should be very easy things for you to follow. And I guarantee you, regardless of your genetics, where you are, and what your goals are, this is going to help you get lean, lose some weight, get some fat loss. So we'll jump right into it here. And the first thing we have to do is address the problem, right? And one of the first things I said is that, in my opinion, a lot of fitness advice is overly complicated. People think, and I mentioned earlier, you're not going to need supplements for this, but they think they need things like this in order to get to where they want to go, or they think they need to buy an expensive gym membership. They think they need to have an expensive trainer or some sort of coach. Again, some of these things are going to help people out, but I'm trying to drive this home that those solutions aren't going to answer the problem, right? This is going to be on you. These 3 easy steps are going to be on you. Getting lean is actually very simple. And the key problem that we always come back to in most of the videos is that the consistency and discipline is actually the hardest part when getting lean. So that is the problem. People don't have consistency and discipline. They lean onto things that will coddle them, hold their hand, and they're not making themselves accountable for what they do each and every day, which is why they usually don't see progress if they're trying to lose fat, if they're trying to lose weight, they're trying to get lean, build muscle, whatever your plan may be. But again, this is more so for anybody who's looking to lose weight. The main problem that you're going to have to realize that you have to get over if you're going to follow these steps is that you will need to lock in on consistency and discipline. If you can do that, you do not need fitness advice from a trainer. You do not need supplements. You do not need expensive programs. You don't need crazy crash diets. Getting lean, actually very simple. So what you actually will need though. So, pair of dumbbells, books in a backpack, something that actually has strength training resistance. I don't care what that is. It could be free weights. We'll get into that in a second. It helps if you have the ability to walk. Just being able to walk, which we'll get into in a moment too. And basic whole foods. So, I'm talking about consistent diet that we'll get into in a second, but basic whole foods that have nutrition that will get you the right nutrition you need to maintain and build muscle while you're losing fat so you don't become skinny fat and actually look the way that you want to be. You have to be able to control your calories, and by eating whole foods, you are less hungry throughout the day and you're actually feeding your body the right stuff to make sure that you maintain healthy, you feel good throughout the day, and you can be consistent and disciplined in this program. So again, you don't need the craziest gym equipment. I said earlier, you don't have to buy the most expensive gym membership. You don't have to do all these excess classes. You do not need to be doing sprints. You do not need to be doing all this crazy training if you're just trying to lose fat and get leaner. All you really need is some sort of form of resistance training for strength training, the ability to walk, and access to basic whole foods. So we'll get into that in a second. So section 1, easy diet, right? So we talk about consistency and discipline. So you need to have a diet. And when I say diet, I'm not talking, I think a lot of people confuse the word diet with not eating. No, diet is just, do I have the right nutrition plan? And you don't need to overcomplicate a nutrition plan. So I know people will be like, well, I talked to a nutritionist or I went to somebody to go get this figured out. Look, at the end of the day, there's a ton of information out there. But my biggest advice to you is stick with high protein meals because you're going to need to have that. So while you're losing weight, that you're maintaining the muscle that you already have. And you're going to want to be eating whole foods that keep you full. And you want to make sure that you can prepare these within simple meals that are something that you can stay consistent with. So whether that be, eggs and oats and fruits in the morning, having lean ground beef, lean ground chicken, a high protein meat, which is mostly everything that you can pair with veggies, and a solid carbohydrate like a sweet potato or a potato or whatever it may be. You don't even really need to avoid bread. I think that's another thing too. People are like, oh, I'm doing a no carb diet. I'm like, go for you, works for some people, but you don't need to be doing keto. You don't need to go on a vegetarian diet or raw food diet, like whatever you want to do. Everybody has their own diet restrictions, but at the end of the day, the diet part is actually really easy. The hardest part, again, is staying consistent and disciplined. So because of that, you want to have a sustainable and simple grocery list. So I kind of mentioned like an example of breakfast, but if you just go to the grocery store every week and you're putting in your fridge eggs, egg whites, ground beef, rice, sweet potatoes, broccoli, low-fat Greek yogurts, fruit. Hell, if you want to throw some Cheerios, some of that shit's processed, but you can sneak away with some of that stuff. Overall, at the end of the day, if you put this in your refrigerator and in your freezer at the end of the day, this is going to get you prepared. So when you go to reach for food at the end of the day, you're eating whole foods for the most part that are going to get you the protein sources you need, the nutrition you need, and all the support that you need in order to stay sustained throughout the entire day. And these foods will naturally make you feel more full, and you'll be able to eat a lot of this food with maintaining low calories. So one thing I would watch out for, I say 93.7 ground beef. I know there's 96.4 out there, and there's even leaner beefs, but try and stay away from, like your 85-15s, your 80-20s. Those are higher in fat. They're more caloric, but, you can find this in pretty much every grocery store. So make sure you get that. And then if you're using, I think this is a big no-no for most people, if you're using oil to cook your food, try to stay away from your traditional olive oil. That's where a lot of people slip up too. They're just dumping olive oil onto all their food, and that shit skyrockets when it comes to calories. They say it's quote unquote 0 calorie, like avocado oil spray, but that's something that, you can check on the back of your can. At the end of the day, there's something there, but it's going to be way better than your traditional olive oil that you're using. Just get this stuff, guys. You have to learn to cook too, but this just makes it super easy. You're having eggs in the morning with some oats and some fruit. And then you're having ground beef or chicken for lunch and dinner, vice versa. You're prepping this every day. You can use taco seasoning. You can use salt, pepper, whatever it want to be. Don't worry about that stuff, but it really just comes down to, like, are you getting the resources from your whole foods? This is the stuff that you should have in your pantry, your refrigerator. Throw out your Oreos. Throw out anything that is going to be tempting to have. Throw out your donuts. Throw out your frozen pizzas. Throw out your lean cuisines. Throw out any of that bullshit that you see that is in the grocery store too that says it's high protein, but if you look in the back, it's actually 800 calories for a loaded mac and cheese high protein muscle man meal that gets you 20 grams of protein for 800 calories. That's bullshit. You don't want that. So the simple idea is, if you're 200 pounds, right, try to aim for 180 to 200 grams of protein a day. That's something that you're going to do to maintain your muscle mass while you're losing weight. And in order to do that, you have to eat protein dense foods for low calories. These are all the answers right there for you, plus get you the healthy carbohydrates and other nutritional needs from your fruits and vegetables as well. Really, people go like, well, dude, that's going to cost me so much money. Well, at the end of the day, roughly one night out to eat, right? If you guys are door dashing and buying donuts and buying pizza, I mean, dude, DoorDash is ass. I feel like if you ever use DoorDash, it usually shows up to your door cold anyway. You're spending $50 on some shit meal. And if you're doing that a few nights a week, you're already blowing $200, $300. Maybe you're going out once a week, right? You're going out to dinner. I mean, you can't even go out to dinner anymore for less than $100. I mean, it's usually like $150, $200, especially if you're having drinks and alcohol, which we can get into too as well. But this breaks down to, like, especially if you're single and you're by yourself, it might even be cheaper than this, but like you can get away with getting a grocery order of what I just mentioned in the last slide for like $100. And you should go to a grocery store, go to a good grocery store to get these things. But even at the bare minimum, like, you could just get this shit delivered to your front door if you even really wanted, through like an Amazon delivery service. So, and before anyone comes in here and says, what the hell are you talking about ordering from Amazon? at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, the person who's actually buying what I just showed in the last slide delivered from Amazon is going to be 99% of the time better well off than somebody who's just going and getting bullshit from the grocery store. So there's easy, accessible ways to get this delivered to your front door. There's really no excuse. You can find this. Also, you're probably next to a grocery store that you can just write this down on a list and go get it. Your cost of groceries is going to be low. Go get your stuff, guys. Don't be afraid to use things like taco seasoning, salt and pepper, and garlic powder, and paprika, like I said, to spice up your chicken, your ground beef, your fish, whatever you get. But these are things that it's consistent in the fridge. You can prep this week in and week out, and you're going to save a lot of money. You know, I understand that people are like, oh, times are tough, but you shouldn't be door dashing. You shouldn't be going out to eat then if that's the case. Put that money into your groceries. So that covers step 1 for the most part when it comes to diet. The section 2 that I wanted to put here is just simple weight training, guys. I talked earlier about how you don't necessarily need this, trainer, if you will. And I feel like a lot of people, especially when they're first starting out, they're like, what should my splits look like? Should I be doing like a push day with legs and then like a pull leg split and then take a day off, and my rep ranges, and what should I be focusing on? That is just way too complicated in the beginning. Like, you can dial that shit in later. If I were to give anybody a recommendation, and this is where I started and I saw results really quickly, again, to each their own, but this is what has worked for me. I just told myself that I'm going to train 3 to 5 times a week, and I was going to go and do a full body workout. So I just made it super easy on myself. I didn't overthink what gym I was going to. I just knew as long as I had dumbbells, free weights. I like the idea of dumbbells because if you get used to using dumbbells, most gyms always will and should have dumbbells. I don't know a gym that doesn't have one. But also, if you're traveling or you're going on vacation, or if you're going for a work trip, some of those gyms are usually restricted and they at least have dumbbells there. So if you can get really comfortable with doing full body workouts with just dumbbells, this makes it so no matter where you go, you can get a workout in. And why weight training is so important instead of just trying to lose weight is because when people are dropping weight, and I have examples of this in old videos I've made, but I actually dropped a lot of weight before with doing everything but this step, the weight training. And I kind of still looked like shit and wasn't happy with how I looked. And that's because I was losing muscle and losing fat, and I just kind of looked like skinny fat at the end of it. And I just was not happy with how I looked. So this is going to allow you to drop not just weight, but fat from your weight. And also you're going to maintain the good weight by sustaining your muscle growth, making sure you have some definition, keeping you looking strong, healthy, and overall strength training is just great for your overall health, something that you should just stay committed to. So, some people might say like, oh, I might need a program. So when I talk about a full body workout plan, if I were somebody just to be like, don't overcomplicate it, just do, here's some examples of exercises I want to put in there too, but just Google this stuff. Like, the information's there for you. You don't necessarily have to pay somebody to send you a plan. Try to get 3 sets of 4 different exercises that hit your legs, your chest, your back, shoulders, your arms, whatever one it may be. Google squats, push-ups, dumbbell shoulder press, bent over dumbbell rows, rear delt flies, dumbbell curls, overhead extensions, whatever it may be. Do this every other day. Get 3 sets in for 8 to 12 reps. You're going to have people out there tell you that you need to do 2 sets with 3 to 4 reps till failure if you're really trying to, up your strength. That's a whole different category and a different scenario. This is just to maintain, structure to your weight training every day or every other day, whatever it may be. Commit to that 3 to 5 times a week. Again, I mentioned on the last slide, I recommend dumbbells or free weights because at that point, no matter where you go, whether it's a gym, whether it's on vacation or offsite for work or whatever, you're going to have access to something that you're used to and you can commit to. And again, be consistent and disciplined with. So make sure you lock in on this. Lastly, walking. There's the big trend of everybody should be walking 10,000 steps a day. So in my opinion, this has worked for me tremendously. Walking is great because it's a great fat loss tool. When you're just walking, it's low stress and it's easy recovery for the body. There's a lot of other benefits for it too. I think walking is a form of just getting outside too. So when you think about trying to become a better version of yourself, when you're going for walks every day, you just get more dopamine rushing to the brain that is good dopamine, natural, and it's not from doom scrolling or whatever it may be. And speaking of doom scrolling, if that is something that you like to do, which I don't recommend that you get sucked into it, but you can walk whenever, doing most things. I mean, even depending on the line of work that you're in, You can probably walk while you're taking an internal work call. Or, in the morning, it's great to just go for a half-hour walk. Call your mom and dad. Maybe you haven't talked to them in a while. Give them a call. Tell them that you love them. Go for a walk. Call a friend you haven't seen in a while. There's a billion things you can do while you're walking. Catch up with a friend. Say, hey, you want to go for a walk or whatever it may be. This is something that will get you not only more active throughout the day, but it's going to help reduce your hunger because you're a little bit more active. I think a lot of time hunger comes from people being bored and just sitting on the couch. Get up, drink a glass of water, go for a walk. Gets the mind moving. And what this does, and why I have it as step 3, is that in reality, the past 2 steps I just discussed, which is the diet and the weight training, that most of the time is going to get there. Obviously, diet's number 1, but strength training is going to help you build that shape that you want. But walking, if you're trying to expedite the process of losing fat and leaning out, as you walk every day, if you get the 8 to 15K steps a day, and really depending on your pace, that only boils down to 1 to 2 hours of walking a day, that's going to get you the excess, 300, 400 calories that you might be looking for to get to your calorie deficit, but you're still eating the right nutrition at the same time, and you're still burning 100 or 200, depending on your intensity, 250, 300 calories from weightlifting. So you start stacking that up. You're in, say you eat, 2,200 calories for the day, and then you've done your walking and you went to the gym. Depending on the intensity of your workout, depending on the intensity of your walk, or just walking in general, now you're shaving off another 500, 600 calories, and you're in a 300 calorie deficit. You stack that up every day throughout the week. Now you're in a 2,100 calories burned. That's in a deficit. You multiply that over 4 weeks, over a month. Now you're, in an 8K, 9K calorie deficit. It takes around 3,500 calories to burn a pound of fat. Now you're talking 2 pounds a month of just fat loss. And also you probably have a lot of bloating in your body just from all the bullshit you've been eating before. So you're going to lose water weight. You start quickly losing weight fast from all this walking. So again, talked about diet, talked about strength training, walking. These are other real secrets that I just wanted to talk about, is that this is really all you have to do. Walk daily, lift consistently, and eat mostly whole foods. That's going to keep you in a calorie deficit. We can get into calorie tracking later. I think for the most part, if you were to be somebody who's eating whole foods and you're eating 3,000, 4,000 calories a day, my mind would be blown. You're going to get so full just from eating about 2,000 to 2,500 calories in whole foods a day anyway. At that point, you would be like just eating for the sake of eating, which I don't think anybody would even do at that point. And you have to be disciplined long enough to see these results. I've seen a lot of people, friends, myself included, that have done this for a month, and you see like a little bit of results and you're like, oh, I see a little bit, but I want more. Give it another month and then go to month 3. I just showed you guys on the very first slide what happened in 5 months. So much can happen from just staying consistent in this. And another bonus I mentioned, which is the real secret I meant to say, is that write and type a journal every day. And it could be as simple as, today I walked my 90 minutes, I did my workout, and I stuck to my meal plan. Journal the bad habit that you erased. Maybe journal down a good habit that you picked up that day. This keeps you accountable. I like to do this because there was a couple moments in the beginning, because people will make mistakes and people will slip up. It's how you bounce back from them that actually counts. But it was a shitty feeling to write down in my journal that I didn't go for my walk for that day. And the next day when I went to journal, I didn't want to write that down again. So it's like a little reminder that you're staying on track, and it keeps you in that consistent and disciplined mindset. So in closing, guys, people who usually get lean, in my opinion, are not doing anything insane. They're not doing anything extreme, as it says here. They're not following some crazy diet. You're just doing very basic things consistently and disciplined at the end of the day. This is not just for the aesthetics. This is going to be for your mind, your body, your soul. It gives you the good balance that you want in your life. You're going to feel more confident throughout the day. And what you're going to be able to do is, if you can stay locked in and stay consistent and disciplined on these things, you're going to be able to apply them to everything else in your life. The rest of your life is going to level up, and you will truly become a better version of yourself. And everyone deserves that. And I want that for you guys. I want it for everyone. And the journey doesn't end here after you do to 5-6 months. I still have a lot of progress that I want to make. There's other things we can get into this video in terms of workouts, specific diets, and, walking trends and that sort. But at the end of the day, the core principles of just doing these things on a consistent basis and making sure you don't slip up and staying locked in, that's going to get you where you need to get to go. Hope this has helped for you guys, and I will catch you on the next one.